These headstones at Fort Bragg tell a story of the unknown representing workers from Puerto Rico over 100 years ago in North Carolina, working to build better lives for their families. It all started in 1918 when the U.S. Labor Department began looking for people to help with government projects.
I think they were trying to customize it to place these workers, which were all men of working age with families and skills, to place them in southern installations just for that climate compatibility. To a certain extent that worked, and to another extent it did not work.
1,700 Puerto Rican workers came to the U.S. mainland to assist with the construction of the Army base Camp Bragg, now known as Fort Bragg.
They came on a U.S. transport ship, the City of Savannah steamship, that was carrying supplies to San Juan for the military installation and then bringing these islanders back. So there were actual recruiters that were out there recruiting the laborers out of sugar plantations.
The experience of these workers in North Carolina was one of survival. The workers dealing with a change in climate, little medical attention, and only speaking Spanish. But back home, their families on the island were being impacted by natural disasters. An earthquake followed by a deadly tsunami. Meanwhile, some Puerto Rican workers fell ill to what was known as the Spanish flu, some even dying.
Some records indicate that there were 40 to 42 Puerto Ricans that died in that first month, like by the end of October.
With these workers getting sick, the language barrier did not allow them to understand what was going on, but nurses like Lena Jason served as translator. Jason was the daughter of a Black Presbyterian minister who took his family to Puerto Rico to oversee missionary work.
Went to Wilmington and helped them for as long as they needed help, providing care, serving as a translator, which was huge for their, not only their well-being, but their morale too.
Not only did Jason help in this crisis, but also Henry Jackson Kivett and his family. The Kivett family offered the workers food and shelter on their farm where Camp Bragg was being built.
That family sort of witnessed the beginning of this impact of the flu,
which was death. The Kivett farm then becoming the burial ground for some of the Puerto Rican workers who died. The Army later purchasing that land, which is now the main post cemetery. The tragic event was only known to some.
Raphael testified these folks were brought here to be, in many cases, skilled laborers, depending on their background. They were not always put into those positions, but regardless of that fact, they still went to work.
In December 1918, when the epidemic ended, some workers returned to the island.
Many of the islanders who just could simply never adjust and who had survived the flu just went back again on U.S. transport back to Puerto Rico.
But for those who didn't survive, their families had no information about their status.
And I think part of the tragedy was with these workers dying so quickly, it's not really clear who's keeping records of them. I mean, obviously they have names on their headstones, but who's notifying their families that they're not coming back?
That's sad because we need to remember our families, the person that lived for us.
Army Staff Sergeant Carlos Muñiz relates to the Puerto Rican workers. He too coming to the United States 23 years ago in search of a better life.
They came here for opportunities, maybe for help their families. And it's sad that they come in here and nobody remembered them, what they did.
Puerto Ricans were part of the beginnings of the nation's largest military installation by population.
The first people to actually lay down their lives to help build this installation.
Historians and soldiers invite the community to recognize their work and their legacy.
We're going from different places, different background. We bring something to the table that creates diversity. That diversity is very rich.